Picture this, during peak of COVID shutdown, I was drowning, my mind was a mess, my health was tanking, and my spiritual practice felt fake. My doctor literally said, if you don't change something, you are heading for a disaster. And I started seeing the impact in my body. My shoulders started having issues. My normal daily hand movements felt restricted. But here is the wild part. The real problem was not in my body, or my job, or even my relationships. It was five toxic emotions secretly running my life. And when I finally deleted them using ancient wisdom from the Gita, the Vedas, and Buddhist psychology, everything changed. Today, I'll show you how to spot and delete these five emotional poisons using my 4Q framework so you can actually transform your life, not just talk about it. Stick with me because the last emotion is the one almost nobody talks about, but it is the biggest game changer. Let's rewind. In 2022, I was doing an online routine consultation with my doctor, complaining about my frozen shoulders. Staring at blood test results, my doctor said, your HB1AC is moving up again. What is happening? I had controlled my HB1AC, my diabetes, for years. At one stage in 2017, I reversed it to 6.4 using low carb diet and working on my health. I came out of medication. I have documented this full diabetes journey in the form of multiple videos, and I have given the link of playlist in the description of this video. But here is what my doctor did not see. I was angry at my body. I was terrified of failing, multitasking on different time zones to give top-notch results to my employer. I was attached to how my life should look like. I was secretly envious of people who seemed to have it all together. And maybe the hardest to admit part is I was too confident, or you can say proud, to ask for help. As the first employee of my company who set up the entire business from scratch, and also I was the blue-eyed boys of our group's founders. Despite of years of meditation and reading various ancient texts, I was stuck. It wasn't until I had my Arjuna moment, the classic scene from the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is paralyzed by emotions before battle, that I realized I was fighting the wrong enemy. My real battle was inside me, not outside. So I went back to basics. The Gita talks about kaleshas, the mental afflictions. Buddhist psychology calls them as the five poisons. The Vedas offer practical tools for transformation, but no one ever showed me how to connect these teachings to my own life until I mapped them onto my 4Q framework. These 4Q framework, as you already know, are health quotient, intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient. Each toxic emotion was sabotaging a different part of my life. When I deleted them, my health improved, my mind cleared, my relationship healed, and my spiritual practice finally felt real. Here is what's coming. I'll walk you through each of the five toxic emotions, show you exactly how they showed up in my life, the ancient wisdom that cracked the code, and the practical tool I used to delete each one of them. Are you ready? Let's dive in. The first poison is called attachment. Not a true healthy love, but a desperate attachment to the outcome. As a professional leader, for the first time in my entire career, I became obsessed with my way of running everything in the company. I also envisioned improving of my health based on the timeline I had set. People reacting to my work exactly how I wanted. Otherwise, I'll be upset. Gita chapter 2, verse 47 explains it nicely. You have a right to perform your duty, but not to the fruits of action. Buddha says attachment is the root of suffering. So I created a practical tool. Every morning, I switched expectations for intentions. Instead of I must lose 2 kgs this week, I'd say I intend to nourish my body today and follow a good spiritual routine. That tiny shift, it freed up a ton of mental energy and let me focus on the actions that actually matter. Second one is the fear, not the healthy, run from the tiger's fear, the paralyzing fear of failure. I was so afraid of making the wrong choices. I kept switching my assumptions, like when a client showed an interest in our research program and asked for our financial expectations for licensing deal. I would spend days working out too many assumptions, whereas I had full clarity on the valuation in my head. I was always afraid that if I give a number to them and they walk away, I will lose the chance to make a deal. We all are fearful of so many things which are not in our control, and we go into inaction, procrastination, because we are afraid of failure. Gita chapter 4, verse 18 says, true wisdom is knowing when to act and when not to act. Buddha teaches abhay, not the absence of fear, but courage despite fear. The simple practical tool I created for myself. The fear inventory, write down. What am I actually afraid of? What is the worst real outcome of this action? What is the best outcome for this action? What would I do if I knew I could not fail? Most fears are just assumptions or stories we have created in our head. They are just stories. Once I go through the fear inventory, I am more calmer and have clarity to take my decision and action. Third on the list is anger, not just rage, chronic irritation. I was angry at my body, at the healthcare system, because in spite of charging heavy money on insurance premiums, just for doing online consultation, in few minutes they were charging outrageous copay. I was angry at myself, at people who had it easier, like my friends in Australia with much better healthcare system. Gita chapter 2 verse 62 and 63 says, from anger comes delusion. From delusion, loss of memory. From loss of memory, the destruction of intelligence. And finally, from destruction of intelligence, he perishes. Buddhist teaching also aligns on this. Anger is like holding a hot coal, you just get burned. The practical tool I used whenever I noticed anger, I would pause and ask, what is the unmet need behind this anger? Then I would practice Metwa, meditation, which is sending compassion to myself and whoever triggered me. It sounds cheesy, but it works. My anger dropped, my relationship healed. Number 4 is pride, not healthy self esteem, but the ego that blocks learning. I was too proud to admit my diabetes plan was not working, as I was able to reverse at one stage my own diabetes and also helped so many of my relatives to reverse their diabetes too. I was thinking, what will they think? I was too proud to ask for help, too proud to admit I was struggling. Even after years of spiritual practice, practicing low carb diets, hours of walk, and doing everything right, why it was not working. Gita chapter 18, verse 58 defines it very well. Those who are proud fall from their position. Buddha defines beginner's mind as the mind which has openness and humility, which I started missing because of the recent success in controlling diabetes for myself and others. Practical tool I created for myself at that point of time was every morning I would write down one thing I did not know and wanted to learn. I joined a diabetes support group to expand what is beyond low carb diet. Felt awkward, but it changed everything. The moment I dropped pride, support and new ideas flowed in. I started reading new research in diabetes and how it works beyond just low carb diets. Now, the fifth one, and honestly, the sneakiest toxic emotion I had to delete. Envy? No, I'm not calling you envy. I'm saying the emotion is envy, which I never thought I was ever. But COVID shutdown was unique. It hacked my mind. In the Vedas, it is called Mastarya, and it nearly wrecked my progress because it loves to pose as the motivation. I would scroll through social media, see someone celebrating a huge win, and think, good for them. But inside, my stomach was in knots. The Buddha nailed it. Feeling envy is like drinking poison and hoping that other person suffers. Here is my rock bottom. One of my friend, or I wouldn't call him a friend, but I knew him very well, started a company and was able to raise millions of US dollars in seed fund for his venture. While I was not able to close my deal in spite of having multiple final stages of discussions because of multiple reasons beyond my control. I spent 3 hours reading press releases regarding his fundraise, comments on LinkedIn feeds, noticing what other friends of mine was commenting. Inside my mind, I was thinking it's a normal computational biology platform and it did not deserve a hefty valuation. And labeling it as the future of AI in drug discovery was too much. In nutshell, I was questioning whether this platform really deserves what it got. What it did do? It spoiled my health quotient. I was having issues in my sleep. I was envisioning everything. I felt drained. My spiritual quotient flatlined. My meditation completely collapsed. Envy had hijacked my entire 4Q system for a person like me who never felt this way. But the Gita handed me the antidote. Krishna teaches Arjuna about mudita, sympathetic joy. Instead of competing, celebrate. Instead of comparing, contribute. The Vedas say when you genuinely rejoice in another's success, you align your karma with abundance. You literally attract what you celebrate. So here is the hack I built, the celebration protocol. Every time envy hit at a jackpot, I gave myself 60 seconds to do three things. First, congratulate the person with compassion, a real public compliment, be it on LinkedIn, in person, or in a meeting. I went back to my pre COVID positive energy and the compassionate vibe and holistic leadership. Second, ask what can I learn from their journey? Third, take one small action towards your own goal. Right then, I started reaching to all the potential customers I was discussing deals and arranged calls with them, asked them about how they were doing in COVID and if everyone was fine in their relationships. Within weeks, my intelligence quotient soared. I was learning, not burning. My emotional quotient stabilized. No more toxic comparisons. And my spiritual quotient, pure flow state, envy went away from poison to rocket fuel. Ready to see how this works in your life? Try the protocol next time envy sneaks in and watch your 4Q transform. Here is your 7-day challenge. Pick one of these emotions. Use the practice I shared. Journal your progress. Watch how your 4Q shifts. Drop your results in the comments. I'll feature the best stories in the next video. And remember, as Krishna said, you have the right to your actions, but not to the fruits. Your real freedom starts with deleting these 5 poisons. In the meantime, keep discovering yourself.